Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. We are here today working on a 2016 Dodge Ram with the 5.7. This is the SLT version. Customer stated they got a coolant leak. I put water in, and yes, we do have a leak at the water pump. So let's get the customer over an estimate and hopefully get this thing replaced. All right, customer wanted to go ahead and bust it down, so let's get it done. Go ahead and break it down. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking on this one. We're just going to take the fan shroud off, our fan off, our upper radiator hose, our intake, and then we'll take off our serpentine belt and start taking off the pulleys off of the water pump, as well as taking off this thermostat housing down here. So let's go ahead and keep working. I'm just gonna pry these clips up here. You can see here, 2 clips here, or 2 Christmas trees if you want to call it that. They just stick down in those holes right there, okay? So pop those up. We'll go ahead and shoot for this 8mm on this hose here. Take that off. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and just take my clamp off of this thermostat housing. That way I just pour the whole hose off. It'll be completely out of the way. And actually before I do that, let's go ahead and take this intake out of the way and give me a little bit more room to take that clamp off down there. We got 4, let me see, maybe one more. We got 4 clamps on it here. And I'm sorry. Yeah, just 4 clamps. And the main thing here is breaking this line free right here. Might want to twist it, then roll it back. All right, and slide that down. Let's go ahead and loosen up this 8mm down here so we can go ahead and pour this whole unit out. See if I can snake this in there. Yeah. Let's twist a little bit. Matter of fact, let's take it out of here first. Twist a little. Yeah. Yeah, there it is. Pull up on it. Let's take this off. All right, let's get a rag or something just to sit down on top of this throttle body. That way no dirt or debris gets inside of here. Take our clamp off down here. And this slides right out of the way. All right, so I got my serpentine belt off. We got our lower hose off down here. I'm just gonna go ahead and hit this with a little PB blast. Looks like it's a little rusty up in here, just a little bit. And we're gonna go ahead and get our fairing clutch off. We're gonna take a 36mm and try to knock this thing clockwise. Try to knock it clockwise and get it off of the water pump pulley. And look at that play. Wow. So let's take the wrench off and take a look at it. Wow. Yeah, let's get this off of here. It's really bad. All right, I think it broke free. Yes, it did. Thank you, Jesus. Want to catch it, you don't want it to fall, break any of the fins. All right, let's get that out of here. We're gonna go ahead and take our tensioner off. I believe that's a 15mm. And yes, it is a 15. Yeah. Get our tensioner off here. All right, let's go for the rest of these hoses over here. We got one up top, one down below, and then our lower radiator hose. All right, let's break them free. Get a little bit of coolant there. Shouldn't last long. See if I can get this lower one off. Got a lot bigger clamp on it. Got it. All right, so we making way. We got our hoses off over here. Let's go ahead and take some of these bolts off up here that's mounted to the water pump housing and the throttle body. Get that stuff out of the way, and then we should be able to start taking off our water pump bolts all the way around. Let's go ahead and disconnect our coolant temperature sensor here. Just want to pull up on this red tab first and pull it clean on out. And we will have to transfer that coolant temperature sensor over to the new water pump. I believe this is a 13, which it is. This is just a nut here. It's on the lower part of this bracket. And you'll see once I take it off what the bracket kind of looks like. We're not going to take it completely off, but as far as we can, just to give us some room off of the water pump. And this top one here is 13 as well. All right, that's out of there. So you have a nut, a nut, and you have a bolt. Okay, took those two out so far. Need to get me a tray. Okay. Now, as it frees itself up here, you can see that it's free now. I just need to get this wiring harness off of it. That way I can move it like I need to move it. All right, we got it free now, and you can see what it looks like here. Just a bracket that's holding your two AC lines together, okay? As a matter of fact, what I went ahead and did was pulled it off. If you look here, it's a little locking tab. If you push up on this end or lift up on this end, this side will break free. And then you can go ahead and take it off of your lines. All right, let's go ahead and get our water pump bolts out. But before you take your water pump bolts out, if you already have your new water pump, just sit it to the side, because we'll be transferring the bolts one by one as we take them out of the old water pump and transfer them over to the new water pump. That way we won't have any confusion on where these bolts go, okay? So what you're gonna need, you're gonna need a 13 and a 15 millimeter to get this water pump off. There's two 15s and the rest are 13s. We're gonna break them free by hand first. All right, so I've already broken all of them free. Let's go ahead and zip them out of here and get them transferred over to the new water pump. All right, so I got all of my bolts out of my water pump. You can see here that I've transferred them over, all of my bolts. Now I'm gonna go ahead and yank this water pump off and transfer the bolts back over. And go ahead and clean up our surface here and get our new water pump installed and torqued down. All right, this is our water pump here. Once again, let's look at the play in it. Yeah, that's bad. All right, let's go ahead and clean up our maiden surface down here. Clean that up and get our new water pump installed. All right, let's get our gasket onto our water pump. I love these style gaskets. You just stick them in the slot and make sure it's nice and flush all the way around, nice and even, and pretty simple. Ran out of gloves, so I have to do this without gloves, but we'll get it done. No biggie. It's getting ready to rain out here. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but a little dark out here for the timing. I'm calling for rain today, so should be hitting us in a little while. But got the gasket in there. You can see how nice and flush. Okay, already got our surface cleaned up down there, so let's go back, mount up our water pump, and stick our bolts in one by one. Just want to spin this over, make sure it doesn't have any play, make sure you don't hear any noise there. Bearings making any noise, check the back side of it. Nice and free. Let's get it on and then we'll torque this back. I'm gonna start with this top bolt up here, just so I can have it hanging on something. All right, that's one. Let's put one on this back side here. All right, so we got two bolts in, just hand tight. That way we can have a little room to get the rest of our bolts in, just in case we need to tilt it left or tilt it right. All the bolts can go in nice and freely. All right, I put my gun on one. I'm just going to zip these in just a little bit. All right, we're going to torque all of them down to 18 foot-pounds. I'm just going to go in somewhat of a cross pattern. All right, let's go ahead and get our hoses back on down here. Pop these over. Matter of fact, I'm sorry, moving too quick. Let's go ahead and get our lower radiator hose on first. That was a little bit of a fight, so let's get that back on. All right, let's put our tensioner on down here and torque that down. All right, this tensioner is 30 foot-pounds. All right, our thermostat housing bolts are 10 foot-pounds or 13 Newton meters. All right, let's get our fan back on, our fan clutch back on. And we're gonna rotate it the opposite way. Since we hit it clockwise to take it off, we're gonna rotate it counterclockwise and get it up on here. Also, I almost forgot, We got to put our bracket back on. We still have enough room to put it back on, even though we already put on our fan clutch. But let's go ahead and get this back on. All right, we'll go ahead and get our air filter, or intake tube on to our air filter housing. All right, and make sure it seats here all the way down. Stick your connector back in. Let's get off over here. Pull all your tabs back over. As long as it doesn't rain, it actually feels really good out here. So, get this tube back on here. And then we'll go ahead and tighten up our 8mm to the top of this intake tube. All right, we got everything back together. Vehicle is started up, as you can see. Belt rotating. Water pump pulley down there looks good. Fan clutch is on. Spinning like it's supposed to. Everything sounds lovely. So we put our coolant temperature sensor in down there, along with our upper radiator hose. So now we got our coolant in, and we're bleeding the system now. Make sure we don't have any air pockets in the system. Make sure the heat is nice and tight, and make sure there's no overheating. But so far, so good. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Have a good one.